Thank you, Jean-François. And thank you. I really want to thank the two organizers of this symposium to invite me. So Professor Nagaraju and Professor Tatiana. I'm really happy to be here. It's also my first time in India, and I'm really happy to be here and to present this result. So I'm going to talk about electrosynthesis. So we have already seen a little bit of electrosynthesis in the morning with the talk of Professor Thomas Poisson, who I guess already convinced you that electrochemistry so it's not catalysis, but it can fit the principle of green chemistry as it offers a nice way to generate radicals under a mild reaction condition, because it used directly the electrons as reagent. So most of the time the use of sometimes toxic or dangerous redox reagent are most of the time precluded. So we are trying to use this tool in order to access to various kind of compounds. And in view of the many applications of fluorinated compound, we have a special interest into the synthesis of fluorinated molecule, and also in the construction of various azacycles, and more recently into the construction of the phenylethylamine scaffold through Truss-Miles rearrangement. So let's start with the construction of the GEM difluoromethyl alkenes. So this motif can be found in various synthetic molecule. We can find various application as a drug candidate. So here, for instance, when the carbonyl function of the artemisinin is replaced by this motif, the fluorinated analog has a better in vitro activity and a prolonged antimalarial activity, which means that this motif acts as a bioisoster of the carbonyl function. So due to its importance, there are many ways which have been proposed to synthesize this motif. And one of them rely on the defluorinative functionalization of trifluoromethyl alkene. So at the beginning, there were many nucleophilic pathways to do so, but it required a strong nucleophile and usually very strictly anhydrous reaction condition. More recently, there have been different radical pathways which have been proposed, and which are milder, but usually they require still the use of a stoichiometric amount of metallic reductants or a specific photocatalyst. So in both cases, the key intermediate is this carbanion, alpha-trifluoromethyl carbanion, which undergo elimination of the fluorine to form this alkene. And at the beginning of our work, there was only one example of electrochemical approach to access to this motif. So this morning you have seen a proposition of also Professor Thomas Poisson, but at the beginning when we have started there was only this report, which was based on the reductive on the reduction of the alkene, and then you form this carbon anion which was trapped by carbon dioxide, and then there was still this intermediate which undergo fluorine elimination. So in our cases we wanted to develop an alternative approach, alternative electrochemical approach, so not based on the reduction of the alkene but on its radical functionalization. So to do so, the key point is that the radical precursor needs to be more easily reduced than, of course, the alkene and the product. And to do so, we turn our attention to the use of the N-hydroxyphthalimide esters as precursor of alkyl radicals, because they can be very easily prepared from the corresponding carboxylic acid. And carboxylic acid are, of course, very ubiquitous in synthetic and natural products. So they can they constitute a nice precursor of alkyl radical. And by using simply two cheap carbon graphite electrode in dimethyl acetamide in the presence of this ammonium salt as an electrolyte and in the presence of triethylamine, we can access to various kind of gemdifluoroalkene. So at first we have studied the scope of this transformation by varying the aromatic part. It tolerated various substituents on the aromatic ring. We can have also an heteroatomic ring. We can have also an alkyne chain. And then we varied the nature of the alkyl radical, so we can have various secondary alkyl radical. We got excellent yields with the one bearing an alpha stabilizing heteroatom, or also excellent yield with tertiary radical. We can also introduce a primary radical, albeit with a slightly lower yield. We can also access to various unnatural amino acids, starting from aspartic acid or glutamic acid. So for the mechanism of this transformation, it's a cathodic process. So it starts at first by the reduction of the NHP ester to the corresponding radical anion, which undergoes the cleavage of this weakened bond, decarboxylation, and then addition of the alkyl radical to the alkene, and then a second cathodic reduction and fluoride elimination. And to counterbalance this reductive process, we need to have some triethylamine in the reaction mixture, which is oxidized at the anode. So we have also shown that we can use the Kratzycki salt as a precursor of alkyl radical through a deaminative process. So the yield is still good and just a little bit lower than in the case of the decarboxylative approach. So now I will show you how we have used the electrosynthetic approach to build various kind of ASA cycles. So why are we interested in the construction of ASA cycles? This is because they can find many applications, and most importantly, they constitute 60% of all the drugs approved by the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. Therefore, it's always interesting to develop novel approaches to novel kind of ASA cycles. So we have an interest in the construction of pyrazolene, and a very important starting material to access to this motif is the use of this hydrazone. So many methods have been developed for the construction of pyrazolene from hydrazone, but most of them require highly pre-functionalized starting materials or difficult to handle reagents. So in our cases, we wanted to know if it was possible to develop an easy approach based on electrochemistry. So to do so, we were particularly intrigued by a previous method, which was a photochemical approach reported by the group of Zhu, who reported the coupling between this aldehyde-derived hydrazone and dibromomalonate. So for the mechanism of this transformation, so it's a redox neutral photocatalytic process. So it starts at first by the reduction of the dibromomalonate to the corresponding malonyl radical, which add to the hydrazone, which form this hydrazinyl radical. And as it's a redox neutral process, this hydrazinyl radical undergo an oxidation to form this functionalized hydrazone, which spontaneously eliminates the bromide anion and electrocyclize to form the pyrazolene. So it's a very nice transformation because you have the two consecutive CH bond functionalization of the aldehyde hydrazone. But it requires still this expensive photocatalyst. So we wanted to know if we can develop an electro-oxidative alternative. So then, in this case, it means that the radical, the malonyl radical, will have to be generated upon an oxidative CH bond cleavage. So in this case, we will have in the same transformation 3 CH bond activation. So to test our hypothesis, we started with this benzaldehyde-derived hydrazone, this diethyl malonate, and we used a carbon graphite anode and a nickel plate as a cathode in the presence of ferrocene as an electrocatalyst, a base, and in a mixture of tetrahydrofuran and methanol. So the key parameter is this transformation seems to be the nature of the leaving group. So in the case of the bromine, we were not able to isolate the product. With the chlorine, we got 38% yield. And with the fluorine, we were able to get 50% yield. So we kept this fluoromalonate, and then we have done the optimization of the reaction condition, and we have found that the best electrolyte was this cheap ammonium bromide in the presence of methanol as quite clean solvent. So we have studied the scope of this transformation, and it iterated various substituents on the aromatic ring. We can have also azacycles as heteroatomic ring, also this furane. We can have introduce also by using ethanol as a solvent the diethyl malonate. We can introduce a beta ketoester, albeit with a slightly lower yield, and we can also access to a fused ring system. So for the mechanism of this transformation, of course, we employed cyclic voltammetry analysis, and we found that in our reaction system, of course, the ferrocene features quasi-reversible cyclic voltammogram with an oxidation around half redox oxidation around 0.42 volts. When we add to this system the hydrazone, we still have a reversible system. But when we add the enolate of the malonate, then we can clearly see an enhancement of the oxidative current with almost the total disappearance of the cathodic current, so which is called a catalytic current, which means that the ferrocene plays the role of an electrocatalyst to form the malonyl radical, so which can be seen here. So at first there is oxidation of the ferrocene to 2 to ferrocene 3 at the anode. Then the ferrocene 3 will oxidize the enolate of the malonate to form the malonyl radical and at the same time regenerate the electrocatalyst. And then this malonyl radical add to the hydrazone. This hydrazinyl radical is oxidized at the anode to form the functionalized hydrazone, and like previously in the photochemical approach, this intermediate would be unstable and would undergo elimination of fluorine and electrocyclization. And here we are in an oxidative process, so at the cathode there will be a reduction of the proton to counterbalance the reaction. So we have been also interested in the construction of trifluoromethylated azacycles because, as you know, the trifluoromethyl group can play a significant role in medicinal research, as it can modify the chemical, physical and biological properties of the molecule. And we were particularly intrigued by the construction of trifluoromethylated morpholin. And to do so, we wanted to develop a novel approach based on the radical trifluoromethylation of untethered alcohol. It will start at first by the regeneration of trifluoromethyl radical, its addition to the alkene, and then oxidation to trigger the oxycyclization. So here, of course, the key step is the generation of the trifluoromethyl radical. And as here we have an oxidation as this step, it means that if we want to do an electrochemical approach, the trifluoromethyl radical needs to be generated upon an electro-oxidation. So we turn our attention to the use of the Langlois reagent, which is this trifluoromethylated sulfinate salt, which is cheap and which is very easy to handle and which generate at the end of the transformation only sulfur dioxide and sodium salts. So by using simply two cheap electrodes in acetonitrile, we were able to access to various kinds of trifluoromethylated morpholin in good yields. We can also access 2,5 and 2,6 disubstituted morpholin. Here the yield is little bit lower, because, probably due to the over-oxidation of either the starting material or the product. We can access to various fused systems. We can also build a 7-member ring and introduce the difluoromethyl radical. So here for the mechanism, so I guess that you understood that it starts with the oxidation of the Langlois reagent and spontaneous extrusion of sulfur dioxide, generation of the trifluoromethyl radical, and then regioselective addition to the alkene and second anodic oxidation and oxycyclization. And here also there is a reduction of the proton, or maybe also reduction of SO2 to counterbalance the reaction system. So then we turn our attention to the formation of various trifluoromethylated imidazoline. So a classical way to form this imidazoline is a formal 3+2 cycloaddition between this 1,3 dipole and the solvent acetonitrile. So various methods have been proposed to form this 1,3 dipole. And in our cases, we thought that it features a carbocation at the beta position of the nitrogen atom. And based on our previous work, we thought that we can access to this intermediate quite easily, simply by starting from this allylic amine and to do an electrochemical trifluoromethylation. It would generate this intermediate and, in case of success, would give rise to unprecedented trifluoromethylated imidazoline. Of course, there are some risks in this transformation because the carbocation can be directly trapped by the nitrogen atom or by any trace of water. So indeed, when Aurélie, the master student, did this reaction, she did obtain the formation of the imidazoline, but also she observed the formation of the two other products. So she did a lot of parameters optimization, and she found that finally you can use one equivalent of boron trifluoroborane as a Lewis acid in order to form exclusively almost exclusively, because we have still the formation of the amino alcohol, but this 5-member ring. So she applied this condition to various starting materials. So the yields are moderate, but it's still a 3-component reaction through an electrochemical approach. And we can also we have shown that we can simply replace the solvent acetonitrile by acetone in order to form various oxazolidine. And here the yields are a little bit higher, and we do not need the addition of the boron of the trifluoroborane, but we can add in the reaction mixture some molecular sieves in order to suppress the formation of the amino alcohol. And here the mechanism of the transformation, so like previously it starts with the formation of this carbocation at the anode, and then 2 pathways can be proposed. So the first one will be the direct addition of the solvent, acetonitrile or acetone, to form the corresponding nitrilium or carboxonium, which would be trapped intramolecularly by the nitrogen atom, or formation at first of the aziridine, and then its ring opening by a Lewis acid, which is quite close to what have shown us yesterday Professor Jean-François Poisson, and then subsequent 4-mol 3+2 cycloaddition. So now I will talk about the construction of the phenylethylamine scaffold through a Truth-Miles rearrangement. So the Truth-Miles rearrangement, the radical Truth-Miles rearrangement, is a very powerful method which undergo the migration of an aromatic ring from a carbon center radical through a spirocyclic intermediate. So this is a very nice transformation, because you can regioselectively install an aromatic ring at a position that would be difficult to achieve under more classical approaches. So a nice application of this transformation is a desulfonative rearrangement of sulfonamide. So here you start from a beta amino radical. There is this formation of this pyrocyclic intermediate, and the driving force of the transformation is the extrusion of SO2 in order to cleave this carbon-sulfur bond and to allow the migration of the aromatic ring. So why is it a nice transformation? Because it gives rise directly to this phenylethylamine scaffold, which is found in many drugs treating the central nervous system disorders, such as amphetamine, this baclofen, or many antidepressants and stuff like that. So it was a nice transformation, but we wanted to check if it was possible so the transformation are photochemical or photocatalytic, and we wanted there was no electrochemical approach on this desulfonative rearrangement. So based on our previous work, we thought that finally this beta amino radical could be accessed through the electrochemical trifluoromethylation of this allylic sulfonamide. And then it would undergo the migration of the aromatic ring like a classical desulfonative rearrangement. So we have started to test various protecting groups, and while we were doing this, when we tested the benzamide as a protecting group, we were pleased to observe the migration of an aromatic ring, but it was not the ring coming from the sulfonamide, it was a ring coming from the benzamide, which means that a decarbonylative radical true-smiles rearrangement took place. And I have to say that we have formed also this dihydroquinolinone as a side product. But despite this side product, we have to say that it's still an interesting transformation, because here the benzamide can be very easily prepared from ubiquitous benzoic acid, so we can very easily, if we are successful, we will be able to very easily the aromatic ring. And there were only two previous work on this decarbonylative approach. It was here in 1999 with a very harsh reaction condition, excess of reagent, stoichiometric amount of oxidant at reflux of formic acid. And here Oliver Reiser did a very nice transformation, photocatalytic transformation, but it gave rise only to unsubstituted phenylethylamine. And us, we wanted to develop our transformation in order to access to trifluoromethylated phenylethylamine. But we have to be able to suppress the formation of the side product. And based on the work of Oliver Reiser, we thought that it would be great to use the terbutyl as a protecting group. But when we set up the reaction, we were not able to isolate any product, which is quite logical, because even in case of success, we form here this dialkylamine, which can be very easily oxidized under our reaction condition. So we have to find a way to protect this dialkylamine and to obtain it under a form which will not undergo over-oxidation in our reaction mixture. And to do so, we thought to use, instead of water as a co-solvent, to use methanol in order to isolate the product under the form of a methyl carbamate. And indeed, we were quite pleased to observe exclusively the formation of the phenylethylamine, and we do not have anymore the formation of this side product. So we have done the parameters optimization and studied the scope of this transformation. It tolerated various aromatic ring with various electronic properties at various positions. We can introduce also other alcohol. We can form a quaternary center, but with a very poor yield. So it was almost not possible to introduce the difluoromethyl radical, because the difluoromethyl radical is more nucleophilic than the trifluoromethylated one. But if we use the chloro-difluoromethyl radical, then this radical is much more electrophilic, and it can trigger the rearrangement. And it was the first time that the chloro-difluoromethyl radical was generated upon an electro-oxidation. So we have shown that it was possible to remove the protecting group, either only the terbutyl one or both, in order to get the free ammonium salt. And for the mechanism of this transformation, so like previously, it starts by the formation of this radical after addition of the trifluoromethylated radical, then formation of this pyrocyclic intermediate, the breaking of the carbon-carbon bond, formation of this carbamoyl radical, which undergo anodic oxidation to form this carbamoyl cation, which undergo nucleophilic addition of the alcohol to form the carbamate. And in order to understand the difference of reactivity between the tosyl protected benzamide and the one protected with the terbutyl, we have done a collaboration with Dr. Etienne Dora from Sorbonne University. And he has shown that the benzamide protected with the sulfonamide has a clear bias for the S-trans conformation, whereas the one with the bulky terbutyl features a clear bias for the S-cis conformation, and this conformation is much more prone to undergo the exocyclization than the S-trans. That's why the reaction works much more better with the terbutyl group. And just to finish, we have also shown that very recently it was possible to introduce, instead of the trifluoromethyl radical, we can introduce an aryl sulfone by using hydrazine as precursor of sulfonyl radical, and we can also access to various sulfonate ester by simply using sodium bisulfite as a SO2 surrogate in the presence of methanol. And in this case, when we do the deprotection, we obtain directly this molecule, which is the cyclophane, which is a well-known compound in medicinal research. So to finish, I want to thank the students who have worked with me on this project. I want to thank our collaborators, so Dr. Laurent Ikaïm and Dr. Etienne Dera. And so everything is done at ICSN, which is this institute. So this institute is a part of the CNRS. In France, and we are part also of the University Paris-Saclay, which is the first university in the Shanghai ranking, the first French university in the Shanghai ranking, and so this is at 30 kilometers from the centers of Paris. So we have the advantage to have still the nature, but to be very close if we want to go to visit the Eiffel Towers or the Louvre or whatever you want. So of course I thank you for your attention, and I would be pleased to answer your question.
Thank you, Aurélie. Okay, so time is open for question in the audience. Thomas?
I've got one regarding your malonate. You know, when you're using the alpha bromo malonate, it doesn't work. Have you observed any carbene reactivity during the reaction? Because
it doesn't work when.
This is in the first part of your talk when you are using the alpha fluoromalonate.
Oh yeah.
And when you use the bromo.
Bromo malonate. Yeah. We didn't observe this. We observe degradation, but maybe we missed this.
And have you ever witnessed the dimer
no.
of the carbene?
No dimer. No.
Thanks.
Any other point? No, maybe a very trivial question. Can you just make aziridine, you know, when you have a mixture of things, if you remove any trapping agents?
So the problem is, in order to form exclusively, it would be great, but we have never been able, because when the problem is that you need a very polar solvent. And every solvent which are polar will be a little bit nucleophilic. So dimethylformamide, dimethyl sulfoxide, whatever. So yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So I think it's any other point? No. It's time to thank and congratulate all the speakers of this morning. And it was decided that we stop here and we go for lunch. So please warmly congratulate all the speakers.
Long live India and France friendship.